Hello, this is Deborah Yao with Black Education TV, and I am going to be discussing the subject of polygamy or polygyny, whatever you choose to call it. Not sure what the difference is in the two, but anyway, that's what I'm going to be discussing. The whole concept of having more than one wife. Now, this thing is something that I believe is a major pull for those who come into what they call the truth. They call this the truth, but anyone who follows our ministry knows that we believe that it is more to the truth than just knowing who you are in the flesh. But the subject of polygamy is one of the greatest pulls for a lot of the men who actually come into what they call the truth. And I'm not saying that that's the pull for all men, but it is a pull for a lot of men who begin to learn about our culture. And it may not be the initial spark that gets you interested, but somewhere along the line, the subject comes up. And as a lot of our brothers begin to dive more into the subject and seeing that this was indeed a part of our culture, biblically so, they begin to explore the idea, and it comes up with their wife in some form or another, whether they're coming against it and rejecting it as a lifestyle for them that they would rather not partake in, or whether it's something they're considering. And so I'm going to be discussing this issue because I get a lot of questions and concerns and emails from sisters who are being faced with this decision. And I'm not able to respond to each and every message that I receive. And so from time to time, I'll just do a video in which I can address a particular subject that is presented by a lot of individuals. Biblically, we cannot deny that polygamy or polygyny or having more than one wife was something that was a part of Israelite culture. But our stance is this. We are in the land of our captivity, and I know I'm going to lose some of you here. We are in the land of our captivity, and many of the examples that we have seen played out, not all, but many of the examples that we've seen played out by those who have entered into a polygamist marriage, a plural marriage, whatever you want to call it, brothers having more than one wife, many of the examples have been a disaster. And I hate to have to keep saying stuff like, we know that it's not all, but I'm saying this for those who want to nitpick your words, okay? We know that not every example or every marriage, plural marriage, is this way. But there are a large number of these marriages that are very, very messy, and they are not being formed in a biblical sense. They are not being followed through in a biblical sense. You have those who have applied their own meanings to how a plural marriage or a man having multiple wives should be. Turning the grace of Yah into lasciviousness. Many will deny that it has anything to do with sexual pleasure, but there have been many examples to where that is proven to be wrong as well. Not all, but many have proven to be this. You have stories that have actually made the news to where the sexual rendezvous, one story in particular where a little boy ended up being killed and a woman, one of the wives, was killed, and a couple of the other wives helped to bury the body. And I know that's just one example. Some of them are not that drastic, okay? So for those of you who are already offended by me even covering this subject, I'm trying to make a point here. Like it or not, it is what it is. Being in the land of our captivity, we are supposed to be a light to the Gentiles. And right now, many of the things that we partake in are very messy and tacky and do not represent the Most High. I want to talk a little bit about the doctrines surrounding so-called polygamous marriages. You have those out there who are preaching straight out lies. And so I want to ask this question. Is there a law that makes it mandatory that the men of Israel have to have more than one wife? Can someone show me a law that says it's mandatory? Mandatory meaning there are consequences if you do not do this. And I'm asking this question because you have some Israelite teachers who teach that if you are not a person who supports polygamy, then you will not enter into the kingdom of the Most High Yah. This is what some of you are teaching. You have those who are trying to guilt women into this, bully them into this, and you want to make it seem as if this is a mandate of the Most High Yah, and those who go against it or those who don't support it are going to be ejected from the kingdom, or should I say not even allowed to enter into the kingdom. Where is that teaching in the Bible? Where is that law in the Bible to where you will not be able to enter into the kingdom if you do not support or stand in agreement with a polygamous marriage, especially in the land of our captivity, where there are laws of this land who have made it illegal? Now, I must say this. When it comes to the laws of Yah, it is better to obey the laws of Yah than of man. But it is not a law of Yah, or is it? Is it a law of Yah that a man must have more than one wife? Or is this one of those things where you are establishing your own righteousness? Is this one of those penciled in laws that lustful men are writing in because this is something they want? Now, I am going to say this. I have seen examples, current day examples of polygamous marriages that are working out harmoniously. So far. Okay, I'm going to say so far because I don't live with these people and you can only see what they may put on video. But as a whole, when I see our people pushing this lifestyle and they are not even pushing it from a biblical standpoint, only from a lustful standpoint, then there is a huge problem. Because, again, I cannot find it in Scripture to where the Most High told a man to sit around reading the Bible all day, studying the Word, getting in the scripts, as some of them say, or watching vids, as some of them say, while their wives go out and work and bring the money home to them. Can someone please show me that scripture? Because I have not been able to find it. But yet this is the narrative that is being promoted among many so-called Hebrew Israelite men. Now, I've had a lot of sisters contact me who are not favorable of polygamy because of how it's been presented to them. Some of them are lured into marriage as a first wife, only to find out that his whole goal was to have many wives. And then there are the examples where you have brothers who live in one state, and because they travel, they feel that they have a right to have a wife in the states that they travel to the most, so that when he comes into town, she is there to provide sex for him if he wants it, shelter, food, a warm bed to lay his head. Show me that in Scripture. All of this establishing of your own righteousness is not of the Most High Yah. You can spin it around whatever way you wish, but this is not right. It is not biblical for the people of Yah to go around establishing their own righteousness in any area, not just in polygamy, but period. You have people justifying the mistreatment of others because of who we are in the flesh. The Bible clearly tells us to follow peace with all men and set apartness, which without no man shall see Yah. Especially in the land of our captivities, we are not permitted to go about creating contentions with anyone. But yet you have those who will justify that in Scripture. There is a time and a season for everything under the sun. And when you start to establish your own righteousness based on your own desires and your own beliefs, you have stepped out of the will of Yah. That is what you have done. It is unfortunate that this awakening has been tarnished by the foolishness of men. It has been greatly tarnished. And we as a people have to sit back and wonder. We have to wonder how to navigate through the land of our captivity because of the stage that has been set by some of our brothers and sisters who refuse to be led of the Ruach HaKodesh. Scripture says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. He will lead you. We are not to lead ourselves in the way that we believe is right. There's a way which seems right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death and destruction. Hey, Israelites, we are not allowed to make up our own rules and things. No one is condemning biblical polygamy or polygyny. But what we see playing out with a lot of our brothers and sisters is not biblical. The Most High did not give you the freedom to gather all these wives under false pretenses and bounce them when you finish with them. You sleep with them and bounce them because of one small infraction that you don't like when you didn't come to the table with what you were supposed to bring in the first place. Where in Scripture does it say that the woman is supposed to take care of the man? Can someone please show me that? And that the man, all he's supposed to do all day is read the scripts. But he ain't got to work. If I'm correct, the Scripture said if you don't work, you don't eat. Now that's in the book. But I'm still trying to find where it says that you are supposed to gather all these women and they are supposed to take care of you. And then you have men out here making babies. And we know that the Scripture says if a man don't take care of his children, he is worse than an infidel. And so my message to the sisters is that you have to be wise. My message to the sisters is that you have to be wise. Do not allow yourself to be put in these situations. This is one of those tough love messages for you sisters. If you see what's happening, if you see what's happened to Sally Sue over here, don't allow yourself to be the next link in a chain of fools. Because too many games are being played, children are being brought into this world, into situations that are not favorable, where the father makes the baby and walks away and is trying to use scripture to justify it. Turning the grace of Yah into lasciviousness because of sexual desires that you have. And even for you sisters, don't allow sexual desires to push you into a corner where you're making a permanent, life-changing decision. Bringing children into abusive situations or situations where this man is not going to be there as a father, but yet he's saying he's nation building? Nation building? How can you say that you're nation building when you are not even tending to the needs of your children, but you're expecting the woman to do so? If someone can show me a scripture that supports all this, then I'll be okay with it. But I haven't seen those scriptures yet, where the Most High says, go about, make all these babies, but don't take care of them. Where the Most High gave you spiritual authority to have all of these wives, but you have no responsibility to them or the children. Show me that in scripture. And sisters, you have choices to make. You cannot continue to fling open your legs to some man because he quote a couple of scriptures to you and allowing sexual temptation to draw you into a situation that is not going to be favorable for you or children that you bring into this world, causing you to enter into a struggle, not being able to take care of yourself or support yourself or the children that you have by a man who has decided to walk away and disappear. And he's using the Bible to justify it. Sisters, we have got to do better than this. You don't want to be one of those silly women laden with sin who are drawn away by your own lust by wicked men, brute beast, who in many cases are not even making promises, but they tickle your ear a little bit and say, oh, you're my wife. And because it sounds so good to you to be called a wife, that you are accepting this foolishness that these men are laying out before you. You're allowing yourself to be sucked into this polygamous game only to have your life destroyed. So many sisters have had their lives destroyed, obliterated, annihilated, have had their hearts torn into pieces. Don't be the next link in a chain of fools, sisters. I've said a whole lot in this particular video, so you can take from it what you will. I'm not condemning polygamy, although some of you want me to. We get the messages from those of you, too, who say we support it. We don't support it, but we cannot condemn it biblically, because the 12 tribes of Israel came from 4 different women. So we can't say that it's sinful and wrong, but neither do we promote it. But we do condemn the way in which it is being used to sucker women into situations to where sometimes, I'm telling you, it is what it is, family, whether you want to accept it or believe it or not. But some of these men want all of these women so that they can have a funky good time in bed. It is what it is. Some of these men just want women, more than one, so that they can have a menage a trois. I don't know what they call it when you have more than 2 wives. I know it's menage a trois if it's 2 and 1. But if you're having 3 and 4 and you all are having some, well, I know a word. It's a sexual orgy. That is what it's called. I remember some years ago there was a father who had put out a video. He was very angry because some brother who calls himself King something, I can't even remember what his name is. Even if I do, I don't need to call the name. But this brother had all of these wives, all of these young women. And this father was upset because his daughter joined this man's little hookup, his harem. And this man openly talked about the nasty sexual things that they all participated in together. And so this father, he went to try to get his daughter. He was angry, and rightfully so. Because some of these men are using the Bible to justify having more than one wife, and then they get these wives and they pull them into situations where they are essentially sinning against the Most High Yah, breaking Torah, having strange sex with these men who had nothing but lust on the mind. Just want to have wild, illicit sex with all of these women. And then when some of these women can't stomach this lifestyle anymore, they walk away destroyed, turning the grace of Yah into lasciviousness, talking about nation building when all you wanted was a bunch of sex, a bunch of wild sex. And you women are participating in this. And what I find pretty sad is that you have some women who will actually get on Facebook and other social media networks helping these men to promote this stuff. And they will come against a sister like me saying that we are trying to shut down something that Yah ordained, when that is not what we are doing. What we are doing is talking about the foolishness that our people who call themselves awakened have displayed before the whole world, turning the institution of marriage into lasciviousness. Turning this awakening into something that no one wants to be a part of. Tarnishing the awakening. Some people not even wanting to be a part of this awakening because of the foolishness they see coming forth from so-called Hebrew Israelites. Whether you will hear or forbear, the truth is what it is, and we cannot make up our own rules as we go along. Many will continue to do this. Many will reject the truth. Many will make it bad for others who want to do things right. But when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of Yah is going to lift up a standard. There's a standard in which we must live by, family. There is a standard. And too many of our people are breaking that standard by establishing their own righteousness. Enough is enough. And we as the children of Yah, we have got to stand up for what is right, for the righteousness of Yah, and not lean to our own understanding, not continuing this path. To the daughters of Zion, what I want to say to you, and sometimes it's good to just step back, wait and pray. Don't allow someone to pull you under. Don't allow someone to cause you to fall back from the truth of Yah. Okay? Love you, family, and shalom.